Hello and welcome to today's brand new session for from Veeam. That's for Windows 2012 R2 server. What's new in the Windows Server 2012 R2? Before we start, let me just do a few quick checks real quick. Give me a second. Okay, perfect. So I see a lot of attendees have already been connected, so I guess it's a good time. No need to wait. Well, to start with, there are a few instructions that I normally deliver to all of my attendees before I go ahead and start the session. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me properly. So could you just guys, raise your hands on the pane list and just ensure or just show me that you guys can hear me properly. That's the first thing I normally do. Okay. Okay, perfect. Looks good. And guys, if you have any questions, please make a note of your questions and probably post your questions at the end. We'll be spending few minutes in the Q&A. So I'll try my best to answer each and every questions, but at the end of the questions, I probably won't like to interrupt the flow of the session. So please make a note of your questions and feel free to post your questions at the end in the Q&A. Okay, I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. Okay, so it's a good time to go ahead and start the session. Okay, to quickly introduce myself, my name is Rahul Shinde. I work as a system engineer with the Veeam Softwares. Oh, I'm sorry, something's weird. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. To start again, my name is Rahul Shinde, and I work as a system engineer for Veeam Softwares, and I will take care of pre-sales activities like technical activities like designing the solution, webinars, trainings, and all of that stuff. So the agenda for today's session is to give you guys an overview of Windows 2012. You've been knowing Windows Server 2012 for a long time, but it's just like few enhancements which has been brought up by Microsoft in 2012 R2. We'll be discussing that. We'll be talking more in details about file services and storage as well. Later on, we'll be discussing about networking. Hyper-V is the main thing that I would like to spend some time more or emphasize more on Hyper-V. That's a key selling point for Microsoft for Windows 2012 R2. Other than that, we'll be talking about PowerShell and Windows Directory services and security. Okay. So to get a complete or rather a quick overview, this is what you have in Windows 2012 R2. It has been in the market for a long time. There are a few been enhancements made to the R2 version, and where you get server virtualization for new levels of performance and cross-platform support in terms of server virtualization. You also get high performance and resiliency at a fraction of cost for your storage. You get a more hybrid networking with breakthrough levels of flexibility and performance. Virtual desktop infrastructure, which is great in terms of deployment and cost effectiveness. So that's the main thing. Apart from that, you also get server management and automation, web application platforms, access and information protection. Many of these things were a part of Windows 2012 but it has been like reworked, revamped, and just brought it in the R2 version with a few enhancements. So that's nothing much to talk about this overview. Let's get on to the core part. So talking in terms of enhancement, what you get is first thing is the SMB, which is server message blocks. Well, SMB is nothing but a kind of a network file sharing protocol which allows the application on a computer to rather read and write to files and to request services from the server programs in your network. Talking in terms of features or enhancement made to the SMB in Windows 2012 R2 is you get automatic rebalancing of scale-out file server clients, improved SMB event messages, VHDX files as a shared storage for guest clustering, which means simplifies the creation of guest clusters by using the shared VHDX files for shared storage inside your virtual machine. You can also use this feature with the VHDX file that are stored in our CSV, like cluster shared volumes or SMB scale-out file shares. Other enhancements which you have is Hyper-V live migration over SMB, which will basically enable you to perform a kind of a live migration of virtual machine by using SMB 3.0 as a transport. Now, this allows you to basically take an advantage of key SMB features such as SMB Direct, SMB Multi-Channel by providing high-speed migration at a low CPU utilization. So that's the best thing introduced by Microsoft in 2012 R2. Improved SMB bandwidth management. It basically enables you to configure SMB bandwidth limits to control different SMB traffic types. There are 3 different SMB traffic types. First is the default, live migration, and virtual machines. So these are the 3 different types of SMB traffics for which you can limit your bandwidth for SMB. Support for multiple SMB instances on a scale-out file server. That's again additional enhancement being added to server message block. That's the SMB. Okay, the next thing is the DFS namespace and DFS replication. So what you get as a part of enhancement is Windows PowerShell module for DFS replication, database cloning, database recovery, corruption recovery, cross-file RDC disable, file staging tuning, and expected shutdown database recovery improvements. So coming to the first point is Windows PowerShell module for DFS replication. It basically provides a PowerShell command list for performing majority of application or rather administrative tasks for DFS replication. That's the only new functionality that has been added to R2 2012. DFS replication Windows management infrastructure provider is like it provides you with the latest Windows management infrastructure, which is WMI based methods to manage your DFS replication. Cloning for initial sync, which means it gives you rather good support by bypassing the initial replication when creating a new replicated folders, replacing servers, or rather recovering from a disaster. Database corruption recovery is a kind of a feature which basically supports for rebuilding your corrupt database without unexpected data loss caused by non-authoritative initial sync. Cross-file RDC disable, which is an option to disable to cross-file remote differential compression. That's RDC between the servers. File staging tuning is, you can say, an option which gives you, or rather an option to configure variable file staging sizes on your individual servers. And unexpected shutdown database recovery improvements basically enables the automatic recovery after loss of power or an unexpected problem on a DFS replication service. So that are the enhancement made in DFS namespace and replication. Okay, moving further, what we have is iSCSI target server. So for iSCSI target server, the enhancement made by Microsoft is first is the virtual disk enhancements. Now basically it includes a redesigned data persistence layer that is based on a new version of VHD format, which they call as a VHDX or VHD version 2.0. Now VHDX has a much large storage capacity as compared to older VHD formats. That's the first thing. iSCSI target server also provides data corruption protection in case of power failures and optimizes your structural alignments of dynamics and differencing disk to prevent performance degradation on a new large sector physical disk. You can go ahead and still import your VHD 1.0 disk by using Windows Server 2012 R2. So that's the enhancement made in terms of virtual disk. Manageability enhancements. There are a few things added to the management for managing your Windows 2012 server. Nothing more to talk about it. So improved optimization of to allow disk level caching. Now iSCSI target server now basically sets the disk cache bypass flag by hosting a disk I/O through FUA, what they call as a force unit access, only when issuing an initiator is explicitly requested. Now, this change can potentially remove the performance, or rather, sorry, potentially improve your performance. Previously, iSCSI target server would always set the disk cache bypass flag on all IOs, where the system cache bypass functionality remains unchanged in the iSCSI target server. As for instance, the file system cache on the target server is always bypassed. So that basically helps improving the performance. Scalability limits is in the new version of Windows 2012 R2, it increases the maximum number of sessions per target server to 554 and increases the maximum number of logical unit per target server to 256. So that's a good number. In terms of local mount functionality, it deprecates the local mount functionality for snapshots. As a workaround, you can use a local iSCSI initiator on the target server computer. This is which you also call as a loopback initiator to access exported snapshots. So that's about the iSCSI thing. What next you get is the storage space. Storage space is like tiered storage space, write-back caching, dual parity. Now, storage tiers is basically automatically moves your frequently accessed data to faster solid-state drive storage and infrequently accessed data to a slower hard disk storage. Okay. Storage tiers also combines the best attributes of SSDs and hard disk drives, increasing the performance of most used, or what you call as hot data, by moving it to a solid-state drives without sacrificing the ability to store large quantities of data on inexpensive hard drives. Write-back cache is nothing but buffers. It buffers a small random writes to SSDs, reducing the latency of writes. Now, small random writes often dominates the common workloads in an enterprise environment, and they can be impacting the performance of other data transfers which are idly taking place in the background. So by using the SSDs for a write-back cache, the storage spaces can basically reduce the latency of the random writes and also greatly reduce any impact happening on the performance for other data transfers running in the background. Dual parity is like having two copies of the parity information on a parity space, which helps protect you from two simultaneous physical disk failure and optimizes your storage efficiency. The benefit of having dual parity is also like it also keeps a high level of resiliency when you use a parity space with a large number of disks, or anytime you need to protect against two simultaneous disk failures. So that's the best thing, having dual parity for your storage. Moving forward, data deduplication. What enhancement has been made to data deduplication is VDI, introducing VDI support. CSV is now officially supported, and optimization of open files, improved optimization performance, and read-write performance. So data deduplication for remote storage of VDI, what we call as a virtual desktop infrastructure workloads, is basically optimizing active VHDs for virtual desktop infrastructure workloads by implementing data deduplication on CSVs, like cluster shared volumes. In Windows 2012 R2, data deduplication can be installed on a scale-out file share and used to optimize your live virtual hard drives, or VHDs, for your VDI environment or VDI workloads. By going ahead and optimizing your CSV volumes for your VDI workload, you can ideally stretch the virtual machine capacity of your existing storage subsystems, wherein storage savings you get as great as almost like close to 95% can be achieved if you're going to implement data deduplication on live VHDs for VDI deployments. So that's a key factor that Microsoft is promoting. Like for data deduplication, you have a great savings for your live VHDs. If it's for VDI developments, if you're using data duplication. Okay, so moving on further to the networking part. In terms of networking, there are a few, I would not say enhancements, but there are a few things that's changed in terms of networking. First, it's a DHCP. DNS registration enhancement. Basically, now you can use the DHCP policies to configure your condition based on a fully qualified domain name of a DHCP client, and to register workgroup computer using just a DNS guest suffix. PTR registration options is again rather an option which enables DNS registration of address A and a pointer PTR records. So just enable the registration of A records. That's it. PowerShell for DHCP servers. It just Windows PowerShell commandlets are now ideally available for DHCP servers as well. Nothing more to talk in details about it. Apart from DHCP, what you get is a few things that have changed, or call it as enhancement. As for Microsoft, that's in DNS. So enhanced zone level statistics basically are available for different resources, record types, zone transfers, and dynamic updates. Secondly, enhanced DNSSSEC support. It's basically a key management and supporting for single support for a signed file backup zone is improved now in case of DNSSSEC support. Again, enhanced Windows PowerShell support. PowerShell is parameters are now available for DNS server. That's the only thing. Okay, enhancement to IPAM is first is role-based access control. Basically, role-based access control would enable you to customize the type of operations and access permissions for users and rather groups of a user on a specific objects. Again, virtual disk space management is you call it as IPAM. Basically streamlines the management of physical and virtual IP address space in your system center virtual machine manager. DHCP server management is basically several new operations are available in IPAM to enhance the monitoring and management of DHCP service on your network. External database support for SQL support in addition to Windows internal database, what they call as a WID. Now IPAM also optionally supports the use of SQL database. So that's what we call as a real enhancement done in terms of for IPAM. Upgrade and migration processes, like if you're installed IPAM on a Windows 2012, your data is maintained and migrated when you upgrade to 2012 R2. So nothing's not going to destroy anything. It's just be kind of an in-place upgrade or migration from 2012 to 2012 R2. Enhanced Windows PowerShell support. Again, Windows PowerShell support for IPAM is like enhanced to provide you extensibility, integration, and variety of automation support. So that's a PowerShell. Okay, so that's about the IPAM. Windows Server Gateway is nothing but a virtual machine software which basically routes that allows the network traffic routing between virtual and physical networks, including your internet. That's the only thing. Okay, let's get onto the key part, the Hyper-V. So that's the key thing that Microsoft is trying to pitch in for 2012 R2. It's really good in terms of virtualization. So let's see what things you get in case of Hyper-V thing with 2012 R2. Now these are the key points that Microsoft says it's kind of an enhancement or improvement over 2012 in case of 2012 R2. So shared virtual hard disk, what it means is Hyper-V in Windows 2012 R2 now enable clustering virtual machines by using the shared virtual hard disk as the VHDX files. Now this feature is used to build a really extensive and high availability infrastructure, and it's especially important for private cloud deployments and cloud-hosted environments that manage huge workloads. Um, Shared virtual disk or shared virtual hard disk enables multiple virtual machines to access the same VHDX file or the virtual hard disk file, which provides shared storage for use by Windows failover clustering. Again, the VHDX or the shared virtual disk file can be hosted on a CSV, that's clustered shared volumes, or on a SMB, that's a server message block based scale-out file shares. Secondly is resizing virtual hard disk is resizing your virtual hard disk while the virtual machine is running will now enable the administrator to perform configuration and maintenance operation on a virtual hard disk while the associated virtual machine is still online or your virtual hard drive data disk is still in use. So I would say that's a real good thing that Microsoft has brought in. If there's something going wrong, or if you want to do any changes to your virtual hard drive, even the machine is running in the background, you can still go ahead and do that. Nothing is going to hamper your or rather impact your end users or in terms of performance. You can still go ahead and work with the virtual hard disk associated with the virtual machine while the machine is running. So that's a good part about resizing virtual disk hard drive. Third thing is the storage quality of service. Storage QoS basically enables you to specify the I would say maximum and minimum I/O loads in terms of I/O operation happening per second, or what you call as IOPS, for each virtual machine, or rather, for each virtual disk in a virtual machine. Storage quality of service also ensures that the storage throughput of one virtual hard disk does not impact the performance of another virtual hard disk on the same host or running on the same host. So basically, that is again a good option brought by Microsoft in terms of specifying maximum and minimum I loads in terms of IOPS happening on a single hard disk of your virtual machine. Live migration is Hyper-V Live Migration has been updated to allow administrators to select optimal performance options when they move virtual machines from one server to another server. So basically, that's enhancement which we rather missing, or which was not in a complete state in 2012. So they've just been updating things in terms of live migration in a better way now. Integration services. Now, in terms of, or rather in previous versions of Hyper-V, Hyper-V administrator may need to shut down a virtual machine to copy files of it. But in case of new Hyper-V integration service that has been added, will now allow the Hyper-V administrator to copy the files to a running virtual machine without using a network connection. So that's really a good thing, apart from again, from resize virtual disk and integration server. That's really a key factor that Hyper-V administrator would like to use. Like, you can just move the files to a running virtual machine without shutting it down or without using the network connections. Hyper-V replicas, a new feature in Windows 2012 R2. What you can do is you can go ahead and configure extended replication. Now, in case of extended replication, your replica server forwards information about changes that has occurred on a primary virtual machine to the third server. That's the extended replica server. And after it can be a planned or unplanned failover. So after a planned or unplanned failover from the primary server to the replica server, the extended replica server provides further business continuity protection. As with ordinary replication, you configure extended replication just by using Hyper-V Manager or Windows PowerShell or WMI, and the frequency of replication, which previously was a fixed value, is now configurable. So that's the best thing. You can also access recovery points for 24 hours. Okay, previously you can only access the recovery points for last 15 hours. So that's again a good enhancement that they have done in terms of recovery points, or you can access the recovery points for the complete 24 hours. Linux support is nothing but following feature. Basically, the following features has been updated in Hyper-V for Linux support is Linux virtual machine backup support and dynamic memory support for Linux guest operating system. So that's a key thing that has been added to Linux support. Okay, so that's about the Hyper-V, and these are the few. Rather, these are not the entire enhancements we have included. There are a lot more to talk about. It might take a day to complete talking about enhancements done to the 2012 R2, but these are just the key points that we have picked up, assuming these are the key points that the end user would like to use for in their day-to-day business. In terms of directory services and security, you get options like single sign-on, work from anywhere, multi-factor authentication, or Auth 2.0 support, security, and group policies. So it has been a part of Windows 2012 earlier. There are just few minor enhancements, I would say, which has been added to in case of 2012 R2. So basically, that's all in talking in terms of enhancements which happened in 2012 R2, which is going to benefit the customer in terms of virtualization, that's Hyper-V, and other aspects of usage. So ideally, that's the end of the presentation, guys. So if you have any questions, now this is the time you can probably post your questions and put it on the chat window using the pane list. Apart, if you have any questions now, you can certainly post your questions in the chat window. If you don't have any questions right now, you want to reach out to me later on, you can just make a note of my email address, which is flashing on the screen at the moment. It's rahul.shinde@veeam.com. Do drop me a mail with your contact details, your queries, and I'll try my best to answer your questions, or probably call you back and work on it, on your problem. So I would leave a few minutes for the Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be silent at the moment for a few minutes and just watch if there's any questions coming in there. Okay, I see there's a question. Nothing at the moment. I'll keep in touch with you. Definitely, sir. Just keep in touch with me. If you have any questions, any problems later on, just go ahead and email me, or just email me. You would get my contact details in my signature later on. One question: what is the full form of SMB? SMB is nothing but a server message block. It's a file sharing protocol. This is one question: how promising the live migration is? Well, they have made certainly a lot of enhancement to the live migration in terms of Hyper-V. So we haven't seen any customers complaining about it till date. But what I would recommend is if you go ahead and download the trial version for Veeam Backup Replication, and just go ahead and add your Hyper-V environment into it, and just do all these things like performing backups, replication, live migration, or if you've been using Windows 2012 R2, probably in a trial mode, you can see how it works. But honestly speaking, we haven't seen any such issues with the live migration of Hyper-V. Okay, there's another question. If is Hyper-V supporting Oracle database? Well, in terms, if you're talking about Veeam backup replication, and if you have a Hyper-V environment and you go and add Hyper-V environment in Veeam, Veeam can back up any application or OS till it's virtualized. But in case if you're asking if Hyper-V supports Oracle database, uh, probably I'm not the right person to answer this. You need to check with Microsoft support or Microsoft in terms of if they support Oracle database on Hyper-V running Windows 2012 R2. Okay, there's another thing is we are having Windows Server which is 32-bit, so how to install 2012 R2 because it requires 64. Yeah, Deepak, I guess Windows 2012 R2 requires 64-bit OS, so it's not going to be supported. So you need to have probably upgrade your server or another hardware which is running on 64-bit. If not, then probably there's no way out to install R2. Uh, Another question is data deduplication. What all enhancements has been made for VDI? Well, Gurpreet, as I have explained earlier, data deduplication for VDI workload is basically optimizes your VHDs for VDI workload by implementing data duplication on a CSVs. So in case of 2012 R2, data deduplication can be installed on a scale-out file share that can be used to optimize the live VHDs running for VDI workloads. Now, by optimizing CSV volumes for your VDI workload, uh, you can ideally stretch the virtual machine capacity of your existing storage subsystem, but you can ideally, I mean, Microsoft says you can get as far as 95% of storage savings by achieving by implementing data deduplication on live VHDs for VDI deployment. So I guess that answers your question. Another question is how many servers can we virtualize? Well, there's no such kind of a number that we or Microsoft can tell, like, these are like a specific number. It definitely depends on what kind of a virtual machine you have, what kind of environment, what kind of a hardware you have. So you probably need to get the prerequisites for setting up your virtual environments right in place if you're talking in terms of Veeam, we can definitely help you. If you're talking in terms of 2012 R2 Windows, you need to contact Microsoft. Okay, kindly provide me the link to view this webinar for later reference. Well, uh, guys, if you have joined the session in the middle, and if you have probably missed a starting part of your presentation, you can go ahead and download. I guess you would receive an email with the recorded session link as well. So post presentation, our sales team will probably drop you a mail with all this information, so you can make use of that. Do we have any issues in VMware machines on 2012 R2? I'm sorry, but I didn't get your question exactly what you mean. Do you have any issues in VMware machines on 2012 R2? Are you talking in terms of backing up your virtual machines using Veeam? If that's a question, uh, no. When Veeam has recently rolled out Veeam version 7 R2, which now officially supports Windows 2012 R2, and uh, any virtual machine can be backed up. That's fine. Virtual machine does not have any problem and does not have any problems in terms of backing up your 2012 R2 virtual machines. There's another question: if as we get fault tolerance feature on VMware, do we get the same in case of Hyper-V? I'm not very clear on that. If Hyper-V has any kind of fault tolerance method, what you get in case of VMware, uh, probably need to check on that, or probably need to get in touch with Microsoft to get these things clear. Can we go ahead and migrate Windows 2003 to 2012 R2? Um, Honestly speaking, I doubt, because what I've seen till date is you can go ahead and upgrade to a next release only. Because if you're using 2003, uh, you can probably go till 2008. That's what I assume. But again, that's again a Microsoft thing. I'm not a right person to comment much on it. So I would really appreciate if you can, talk to Microsoft support and get more information on that. Okay, I see a lot of questions regarding the upgrading Windows Server. And another question is, can I upgrade Windows 2008 Enterprise to Windows 2000 Server 2012 R2? Guys, once again, I would like to reiterate that the session we are conducting right now is from Veeam and not from Microsoft. So I'm not the right person to answer these questions. I guess you can do it. You can upgrade from 2008 to 2012 R2. But once again, please get it confirmed from Microsoft, because like I said, I'm not a right person and not a right thing to comment on other products. So I just want to be a little secure, but that's what I can say. You can please contact Microsoft to get this all information. Can I upgrade Veeam 7.0 to latest for Windows 2012 R2? Yes, please do that, because if you're not upgrading Veeam 7.0 to 7.0 R2, Windows 2012 R2 is not supported. So in order to get support for Windows 2012 R2, please go and upgrade your Veeam server to version 7 R2. So that's the best thing I can recommend you as being a Veeam person. There's one question coming in again saying, in terms of fault tolerance, what you get in VMware, how can you achieve the same in case of Hyper-V? Guys, once again, I repeat myself, this session is being conducted by Veeam, and I'm not the right person to comment on the features or technology provided by Microsoft. So again, I would really appreciate if you guys can go to tech forums from Microsoft, or MSDN blogs, or contact Microsoft to get all this information. I'm really sorry, I would love to answer your question, but I'm not the right person. So okay, I think lots of question has already been answered. There's no more questions coming in. So if you guys have any questions later on, please. Okay, there's one more question. If I upgrade my Veeam 7 to 7 R2, will I interrupt my current configuration? No, Manoj, you won't be disturbing, or you won't be interrupting your current setup of your version 7. It's an in-place upgrade, so just need to install version 7 Veeam Backup Replication R2 on top of your old version 7. That's all. It's an in-place upgrade, so nothing going to disturb your current setup. Okay. Okay, guys, so if you guys have any questions later on, I don't see any questions as of now, so if you guys have any questions that comes to your mind later on, just drop me a mail anytime at rahul.shinde@veeam.com, along with your contact details and contact numbers. I can either reply back to you by email or telephone, so whichever option suits you the best. So once again, thank you guys, and spending like 45 minutes for today's session on what's new feature which you get in Windows 2012 R2. Once again, this is Rahul signing off right now, and wish you guys really have a good day ahead. Take care, guys. Bye.